Well, it's been a while since I've done an excavator video, and I don't really remember what happened in the last one. I think I got the engine installed and the pump was out in the same video. Doesn't really matter, you can check that. The goal for this video though is to get the swing device in and the swivel joints, as well as basically finish rehosing this entire machine. There's a lot of hoses to make. I have all the materials to do it. Let's get started. All right, I got the swivel joint here. I rebuilt this thing a long time ago, like 1 or 2 years ago. I'd really like to replace, oh, this stuff is just falling apart from the hydraulic fluid. Duct tape was not a good choice. These -12s. This is a -4. Hey, oh geez. What a mess. Oh, we got the top here. So there was a bad windstorm here a couple months ago, and we did lose one panel. But besides that, everything's holding up nice on the shelter here. Ugh. Okay, if I remember correctly, I think the swivel joint comes up from the bottom through this rubber fitting. What's this? Is that just hanging out there? By the way, all this rust stuff, this is not through the paint. This is just metal shavings that fell on top of the paint and rusted. This is just a stain. My paint job has not failed yet. And I think the hardware is all this stuff. I think that goes up in here. It's not fitting, but that's the idea. And that keeps the swivel joint from rotating. Now, I also remember when I took the swivel joint apart, I didn't mark where, like how it was clocked. So it's gonna be not clocked, it's extremely stiff. So we're gonna have to figure out how to get that lined up right. It's gonna be a lot of fun. This thing's like perfectly 4 feet wide between the tracks. Very convenient. All right, oh, yep. See if I can, okay. Now, there was a couple spots of dirt that I missed when I was pressure washing. Let's see if I can find them real quick. Yep, over there somewhere. Now I remember I took, ooh, that thing is right by my face. Ugh. Okay, so I remember I took this off because if you can see in there, the swing gear, oh my gosh, what's going on over here? The swing gear, this whole compartment was full of water because the seal's bad. The whole swing bearing or whatever needs to be replaced. That's the problem for another day. So we're gonna cover that back up because I think all the liquid's out of here. I mean, except for stuff like that, that's fine stuff. So anyway, we go up in here and orange, oh my dog. This is just not the best spot for the elephant right now. So we're gonna get this in first, and then we'll get the dirt out later because we're gonna replace all these lines next. So we're gonna have to remove the dirt, but I don't want to. I mean, it just comes. There's gonna be like a rat that jumps out at me after I do this, right? Ow! Yeah, it was a mistake. Yeah, it comes right out. Now I'm laying in that. That's okay. Okay, let's get this thing in. Yeah, this looks pretty nice. Just get the cobwebs out of here. Yep. Just, oh my goodness. Why did I do that? Okay, let's see if we can actually use the gantry. That'd be nice. I'm gonna have to kind of do it blind. I was actually pretty close to trying to bench press this thing into place, but I guess I'll be try to be careful or something. I don't know. Let's see. Just hang this off here. This looks safe. This thing's only like, it was either 40 or 80 pounds. Not a whole lot. Okay. Just put that in there. Yeah, I'm sure that's not going to cause any problems. What are we going to do now? Stand it up. Yeah, this is going to work great. Oh boy, what are we doing here? What we're going to try to do is try not to put her face right under this thing, because you know. Okay, let's get this strap out of here. And we want blue to be on this side. So it goes up like that. Oh man, this thing's gonna fall on me, isn't it? Okay, those straps aren't gonna work. I'm gonna have to reposition those. You gotta come up through that. Is this on the right side? No, this thing's turned around. So, can I do this while it's still up here? There we go. This thing, please don't fall on me, please. Okay. Oh, these fittings, can you see that? These side fittings, I think they have to come off. It's coming back to me because they don't fit past here. Unless you can get it. I don't think you can though. Yeah, those need to come off. And they get reinstalled on the top side. Oh, these are already loose. Did I leave them loose? Did I really think that far ahead? This one's loose at least. Try the other one. Nope, that one's tight. Please don't fall on me. Oh, there we go. Okay. It's just really tight. Oh, does this have to go up? I have the top as 180 out. That's the problem. So this thing needs to go up, rotated like this, and then once it's up there, I need to spin it around. Because the shape of this, the cutout in the turntable matches it like this, the top like this, even though the bottom is backwards. I'm pretty sure that's the problem. Let's see, yeah, that's the problem. Okay. Uh-oh. Popped out, that's okay. Except I can't see what I'm doing. All right, I'm underneath now. The bottom needs to rotate to be aligned right. And we're high enough now to get a bolt in. Okay, just gotta get this back on. A little tight. This rubber's actually in pretty good condition. There we go. Okay. You just tuck around. Nice. That wasn't too bad. Now we just got to rotate this top part. That back in. It was not fun taking this apart because the machine was very dirty when I was doing it. A little cleaner now. Okay, so we got to get this thing lined up. The real question is, how did it go? I see a mark here. So this I think this needs to spin pretty far around, because I see the mark for the plate here. So it went like that, pretty sure. So let's see if we can get this moved at all. I remember trying to move this on the bench, and it was really hard to move. Mosquitoes are out tonight. That's nice. So which way do we want to rotate? We want to rotate, I guess that way. Okay. There's no way this is gonna. Yeah, there's no way. Okay, we're gonna have to. You can try to bump it over with a hammer or something. I don't know. Okay. Oh boy. This is requiring effort. Let's try this. Nope. That's gonna break something. Let this be a lesson to you. When you take stuff like this apart, mark how it's clocked up so it just goes back together without having to do stuff like this. Almost halfway there. Let's get an awkward angle. Okay. Much further. Ooh, we're right there. Nice. Perfect. How did that happen? We got a couple more things that need to go on the machine that have to be hosed up. So this here looks like it's a relief valve. I think it's for the thumb. There's not a relief valve on the valve body for the aux circuit, so this would serve as that, I'm guessing. So that should be pretty simple. So this here, I believe, is the cushion valve for the swing device, and this kind of just acts as a little bit of a buffer. When you're spinning the upper structure around and you stop spinning it, you don't want it to just come to a complete stop. It needs to kind of slow itself down, and it saves the brake and probably all the gearing and all the hard parts. So I'm pretty sure that's what this does. Looks like it's all just dash 4 connections to it, which that's good because I have a bunch of leftover dash 4 hoses I didn't know where they went. And this has Kawasaki on it. This is the first Kawasaki part I've seen on this machine, so I guess everyone is represented. So I've already kind of... Oh boy. And we got some rusty stuff in here. Okay, well that's probably not good. A lot of water in there. I already broke some of these connections free just because I didn't want to have to wrestle with it here. Should probably mark which of these went on which side. That might be smart. What is that? 12 in the back? Is that even gonna... Are those supposed to come off? A lot of goo in here. That's a surprise. Got it. Anything else in there? spring in there. Oh, look at that. A little bit of rust on that. It's probably okay. Spring. What's that? I think this all comes out somehow. I do see it moving back and forth, but it's looking like this was probably supposed to come out with this. This thing is just destroyed though. Maybe not. Maybe I just got to pull it out. Oh yeah, there it goes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is all one unit. Because I think, does that get pushed in and then oop, that just shot out of there. Something ain't right with that. We'll look into that. Is that it? I think that's it. Oh, I missed this guy right here. Okay, next up we got this. Maybe I should stamp these. I would assume that these two relief valves would be the same, but let's just stamp it to be sure. I already pre-loosened this top one in the vise. These are all JIC-12 fittings. Ooh, there's some bad looking water in here. Wrong size. Okay, well apparently these are non-metric. 1 1/8. I think these are the same part number, but oh, someone wrote on here 2250 psi. No writing on here. Interesting. I noticed this was already loose. This thing's actually pretty clean. It's just got some bad looking fluid in it, but this is just an aluminum block, so it's not rusty or anything. So this will clean up nice. This is pretty simple. So there's 2 O-rings. Do they both have this? Yeah, everything has this. It looks like maybe an O-ring and a backup ring. Really crispy. Okay, so we got, those are the same. It looks like just one of these. This is, oh, so we got that. Then there's another O-ring inside. This must be a, yeah, this is like a band. It's not an O-ring. That's all there is to it. A lot of junk in underneath. Rings and backup rings on here. So that's an O-ring that was in the middle. And this looks like a backup ring. Or something. It's not like a normal one. And then another backup ring. So it's backup ring, O-ring, backup ring on here. Well, it's stamped at least. You got a 9CG6 and a T-3A 4151 171 006 CML. That's all that's on this thing. And there's like a sun logo stamped on here. RDFA LAN 9K U5. Okay, well, let's see what we can find on that. This thing will be a lot easier because I have the parts diagram. I've already ordered the parts for that. So it turns out this is made by a company called Sun Hydraulics, and they had the part numbers were actually on here. It was one of the numbers that I'd read off before. And so they sell rebuild kits, which I got 4 of them. And they even have like the directions on here as far as what goes where. So each kit has everything you need for one. So we'll put a little bit of oil on these. Okay, so it should go O-ring, backup ring. Okay, so O-ring. Are these split? They are not. I bet you there's a special tool to stretch these. Oh, okay. It's on there straight, mostly. So then it goes backup ring, O-ring, backup ring. There's definitely a special tool to do this. There we go. O-ring. Backup ring. At least you can tell the backup rings easily. They're not black. Okay. Other one's done. So now for this one. So O-ring, backup ring. Oh, that's right. One of these, like it's called the glide ring, goes over the O-ring. Ring, backup ring. There is a trick to getting these on. Just lost it. After installing glide ring, size it to restore original shape and to prevent damage. Well, the glide ring definitely goes on the outside. So we got this on here. Is this gonna like stretch out or something? Ooh. It wants to twist and stay in that twist orientation. Okay, well, I mean, it seems to be on there. Let me get the other one done. Okay. Looking at an old picture here. This was facing like that. And these. All right, I'm going to throw this thing in a vise and tighten up all those connections. Ready to rebuild this cushion device. It's been about a month since I took it apart, but the parts are all clean there. And then I got all the O-rings I need right there. In case you missed it, I bought like every O-ring I'm going to need to complete this machine a couple months ago, and it's been really helpful in just having stuff. Very expensive, but it's really paying off as far as how much time it saves me, because I just have a huge box of them, and I just can go through and pick out what I need to complete something. So I think this goes in here. Backup rings. These. It's interesting that there's two different O-ring or backup ring part numbers on the same shaft. Maybe they behave differently. And the white one. All right. I think this goes in. I remember this thing. It's been like a few weeks since I took this apart, but I remember this being really rusty inside. And then we had a little spring. Goes right in here. Okay. Tighten that later. If I take that out, is it all messed up? Just make sure I'm not messing up the O-ring in there. It's going in kind of hard. Oh, that just totally shredded the O-ring or the backup ring. What happened? It was going in hard. Here's the one I took out, and it's also shredded. What in the... Is there like a ridge in here? So I think it's something with this, because out of the two O-rings I took off, this is the old one. It's shredded just like the one I just now took off was like. And it shredded like it worked its way up onto the threads while I was unscrewing it. This is one of the original backup rings I have on here now, which is not shredded. So I think it's just when you take it out. At least I hope, but go in here. This goes on here. Hopefully this goes in a little easier than the other one did. It's a little bit concerning. Oh yeah, well, it's about the same. I guess maybe it's just when you unscrew it that backup ring gets pulled off. We got this. Who's that? I'm looking at this upside down, so I think this goes on next. And then there's a spring somewhere. That guy. It's about time to wash my hands again. So I did get a new sensor for this. Let's see if it matches up. Here's the old one. And this was, if you remember in here, it was like plastic on this inside and it was just full of rust. So connector's the same. Comes with an O-ring on it. it look like in here? Does this just come out? It's not in two pieces. So yeah, I think this old one was just bad. Like it had fallen apart or something. Deere sent me this O-ring in a hand-marked bag. This is going to be a fingernail remover. That was not easy. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down. I got all these fittings still. I need to look at my phone and see which ones go where, but they already have new O-rings on all of them. So that's it for this thing. I made this cover a long time ago. It was pretty gross in here when I put it on though. It was kind of rusty and full of junk. Yeah. Did have a gasket on it. What is that, grease? Yeah, so it's pretty nasty in here. There's like a seal here, which is bad. I think the only way to fix this though is by separating the undercarriage and the upper structure, which I can't do until the machine's working. You know, the individual gear teeth look okay, it's just everything else in here is pretty nasty. I mean, this seal is, I shouldn't do that. There's a whole lot of bad stuff in there. Is this water or grease? It's rusty grease. So anyway, I don't think there's much I can do in here. I think really the only thing you could do is you could probably fill this with diesel. There's a bottom plate which is open right now, and you could kind of run it for a while and, you know, clean it out. But so I'm thinking I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm pretty much going to have to replace the slew bearing on this thing, which will be a job, but I want the machine to be running before I do that because it'll be a lot easier, I think. So yeah, we'll just pretend we didn't see any of this. If I recall, when I read the manual years ago, you're supposed to put like a gasket down on this. I think they recommend silicone. Just make sure this is all clean. And maybe we'll just wipe down what we can see in here too. Just blue shavings all over it. At least wipe out some of this. Some nasty stuff in here. The floor of this thing isn't rusty though, that's good. This kind of reminds me of when you cook ribs in the crock pot. This is kind of like what's left over. This is normally the part of the video where I'd be struggling to raise the gantry up so I could get the swing device picked up and placed, but I think I have a secret weapon now. Do this without hitting. Oh boy, I don't know if I can clear this thing. Close. I might be able to make that work. That's not gonna work. It's so close, it's ridiculous. There we go. So if you missed it, I pulled this thing probably about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half, and I've completely rebuilt this entire thing, the gearbox down and then the whole hydraulic motor. So it should be good to go. It's been full of oil this entire time and hasn't leaked any. It's still full of oil, so that's a good sign. I need all the height I can get here, so nope. This is probably a bad idea. I should really move this thing. Yeah, we're gonna have to go a little higher, huh? Yeah. Ooh, actually, this thing should fit. That's good news because I'm really lazy right now. Oh my goodness. This poor gantry, man. It's really getting close to dying. Casters aren't spinning anymore. Whatever. There's only two heavy things left to lift. The fuel tank and the cab. So if I can just get through this without dropping anything, we can not worry about it anymore. Come on. Oh, nice. And now, because I didn't plan ahead, I get the pleasure of putting RTV with my arm right under this thing. We'll go quick before the gantry collapses. A couple of the bolt holes are blind and they have some liquid in them, so I'm just going to soak it up here real quick. If I was smart, I would have done this before putting RTV in, but here we are. You know, I just realized I'm going to have a problem. The gear is not going to be lined up with the bottom tooth. The bolt holes aren't going to line up. Think about that real quick. So how am I going to do that? I got about 20 minutes before this RTV sets. Maybe I'll get lucky. There we go. Does it go like this? Probably should have checked this before I got it in here, huh? There's this spigot. Does that go? That's got to go like that. Yeah, we'll go with that. I think that's right. Get like a couple bolts in and see what happens here. So not happy. Okay, yeah, so it needs to rotate. I think what I can do though, let me move the camera. Okay, so in my recollection of rebuilding this thing, the hydraulic brake is right in here. All the springs are in the top head here, and they're pushing down on the brake disc. So I think if I just crack it open a little bit, that'll take the brake pressure off, and then I should be able to maybe, we'll see. Hopefully this works. I'm not sure how many threads are on here. And that's probably all it needs right there. Just take that pressure off. Do I need to undo these? Sure. That's the worst that could happen. Now it's just an O-ring that seals between these two housings, if I recall. Don't quote me on that, but if I think it is, so it should be fine. Kind of coming apart and going back together. There's 2 more here, which I'm not going to be able to get. Fortunately, I don't think I torqued these down, did I? Nope, they're just hand tight in here. So I'll just pull these off and then I can reach the... And everything is coming up matte today. I remember putting a red zip tie on this, meaning I didn't torque it. That was the meaning at the time. See the springs, does that count? Let's see. Maybe I can pull it back up and see if I can rotate it by hand or something. Now, do I want to stick my hand into this thing where it's just hanging by a few threads? That's the next question. Now, shoot. Since this is under the brake, I'm going to guess this is the brake release. So I wonder if I shoot some compressed air into here, if that's going to pop the piston up, release it. Let me give that a shot. Ooh, I heard it click. Did you hear that? Okay, what happens if I turn it while I'm doing that? Nope. All right, I found a system that works here. I didn't really record a lot of it leading up to this because I didn't want to just have a bunch of time wasted while I thought about it. So it's the next day, by the way. What I did is I let all the RTV cure and then I just scraped it off. It popped right off, no problem. And then this is all the way down. So you can see the alignment. This is supposed to be down here. And then the hole is right here where this is supposed to go. So that's all good. I was onto something last night with the swing brake release port, which is right there. Normally that goes to a port over there in that mess somewhere. But what I did is I just routed it to a hose, and then you might recognize this fitting from another video, but now it's just going to my porta power. So what I found is you get it up to, the pilot pressure for it's supposed to be, I think, around 800 PSI. We'll go to 1,000, which is going to be right there, or 1,000 PSI. So that's applied to the swing brake right now. So it should be off. So the part that was hanging me up is, even with it off, this thing does not want to spin easily. It's probably because there's so many gears and reductions and other stuff going on, plus the hydraulic motors inside there. So it doesn't want to spin easily. I was really cranking on it. It wasn't really turning. By the way, I do have this housing torqued back up. It's not loose anymore. Anyway, what I found here, see if we can set this up. So if you look in here, you'll see there's just the hint of a hole showing on this side. But all you got to do is just do this, and it's slowly moving over. Just kind of shocking it. Now this thing is really strong. It should be able to handle this. I'm not really pushing it too hard. But just that tap is lining it up. Almost there, which is good because my arm's getting tired. Oh, there goes that. I had these loose just in case. Put that back in. Okay, I think we're there. Lined up. We should hopefully be lined up all the way around. So the gears should be set up now. So now we can just pull it back off and reapply RTV. That was actually really easy once you know the trick. Just for my own satisfaction, I actually tried doing this with no pilot pressure on the brake port, and I did it for a while and it did not budge at all. So this is definitely the key, is you have to put pilot pressure on there. Like I said, it's a little bit deceiving because you can't, I was really cranking on that gear. I had like a strap wrench on it. Maybe if you had a chain wrench, you could maybe do it, but just, hitting it like that gets it into line. All right, I'm gonna do this again. Ooh. Good sign, 3 bolts in. Nice. Perfect, it's in. Oh, all the bolts are going in good. I believe these were torqued down a significant amount. So I actually know that this one, is it this one? Green and yellow, I think that's right. This one goes here, so might as well just put it on now. Well, at least we know that the swing brake works. Okay, I think there's a typo in the manual because it says to only torque the mounting bolts to, I think it was either 63 or 65 foot-pounds. But then up here it says the makeup valve, which is this one right here, tightened to 130 foot-pounds. So I'm assuming that's not right, and they meant 130 foot-pounds down there. I really think they meant tighten this one to 65 and tighten those to 130. I mean, this is an O-ring fitting on it too. There's no way I'm tightening this to 130. Let's put this thing in while we're waiting. We go like that. I would assume so. I think I rebuilt it. I rebuilt this thing like in the winter time, but I think it's going to be in this video where I did it. But this is the cushion valve for the swing motor. At least I think it is. Let's see. Is there an electrical connector for this? That one? Yep. Well, let's hope that's it. So this one goes right here. Do I want to route? Maybe I should hold off on these until the big ones are done. That'd probably make sense. Okay, well, if you'll indulge me for a minute, I kind of want to nerd out about hydraulic hoses for a little bit. I should have everything I need right here to finish the machine, or if not, get pretty close. So I'll probably end up needing more hose protection, but here's one box of that. I got some more for the smaller hoses. This is all messed up. So first of all, I got to give credit to Discount Hydraulic Hose, which is where I usually order everything. When this pallet came, these 2 boxes, which contain all of the fittings I ordered, were not on it, and I didn't check before I signed off on the shipment. And after a little bit of back and forth with them, they ended up basically shipping me all the fittings again, which these fittings are not cheap. That was a lot of money that I would have been out. So in a previous video, I already had done all the pilot lines, which were either -4 or -6 hoses. So now what's left is the -12 and the -8s. So that's basically the whole machine is those 4 sizes. Here's the -8 hose I got. This is just SAE 100R12. It's a 4-wire hose, 4,000 PSI working pressure. It's pretty standard. Now, before I go any further, let me just say that there are cheaper ways to do this, but I kind of, since I'm doing everything at the same time, I got a lot of bulk discounts. And so and it was a lot simpler in the long run than having like 15 different specs of hoses. So I just kind of got like the highest spec to service everything, if that makes any sense. Now for the -12 hose, I only got this kind, which is 4SH hose. It's good for 6,090 PSI working pressure, which is probably way overkill for the machine. But like I said, I kind of got it in bulk, so it was really not that much more than just 100R12 or 100R13. Looking at all the hoses that were on the machine, they were kind of just a mix match. There was a lot of actual -8 hose with -12 fittings. So we're going to go -12 hose for everything with -12 fittings, -8 hose for -8 fittings. Just kind of standardize everything. Now I'll say one more thing about the fittings. So fittings this size are incredibly expensive. I want to say they're like $20 or $30 each. And I think there is a cheaper ways to do it. I think you can actually reuse the old fittings. You can, if I pull one out here, I think you can go in and cut like with an angle grinder or something, this outside shell, and then just leave the inside barb, and then I think you can crimp on a new ferrule. So you could do that. I kind of watched a couple videos on how to do it, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this for this many hoses. It's just, I'm just going to bite the bullet and get new fittings. So that's kind of why I'm doing that. So I'm making all my own hoses with one exception, and that is this one, which I had custom made. So this here is the main hose that goes from the pump to the valve block. This is a -16, so it's a 1-inch hose. And what did I get here? This is a SAE 100R13, 5,000 PSI working pressure. And the actual original hose I pulled off the machine was also a SAE 100R13. Now the reason I had this hose custom done, a couple reasons. One, I'm not sure if my crimper can crimp this big. I don't think it can. It might, it says it can, but I don't know if it can. You know, I still don't have 100% confidence in my crimper or my ability to use it. And it was only 10 bucks extra to do it. So just to give you an idea of the ballpark of what this stuff costs, this is obviously the most expensive hose since it's -16. The fee to make this hose was only $10, all right? But the hose itself cost $253. So to break it down, the hose material itself for just this run, which I think is like 50, 60 inches, $127 just for the hose. And then this fitting right here, which is a 45-degree JIC, this is a $61 fitting. And then this right here, which is a code 62 fitting, this is $54. There's a lot of risk involved in doing this, because if you make something too short and you have to redo it, you're out a couple $100 with this big stuff. So we're gonna go kind of slow through this process, one hose at a time, and just you know, take our time and try not to make any mistakes. I'm not gonna film a lot of me crimping hoses, because if you watch the pilot hose video I did 2 or 3 excavator videos ago, I did a lot of that. But basically, this is my crimper. It's the extremely cheap one, one of the cheapest ones I could find. It's a hand pump unit, but I modified it in that video with this quick connect hose. This valve's turned off, and it goes down there to a foot actuated air pump, which runs way better than pumping it by hand, I learned. At the time of this video, I've crimped over 100 hoses on this thing now, and it's actually been very reliable. The accuracy is really good. Once you get it dialed in for a specific hose size, it's really great. So I have really no complaints about it. I have done it on a couple big hoses on the skid steer. I think I did a -12 for that one. That was only a 2-wire hose. So I haven't run it on the 4SH hose with the bigger fittings. Is going to be interesting to try. Okay, well I guess this fitting is a good place to start. So this is the JIC to code 62 fitting. But actually on the JIC side, there's an adapter to code 62 before it goes onto the valve block. So these are the only 2 code 62 fittings on the machine. There's a handful of code 61 fittings, but everything else is either O-ring face or JIC. Okay, good, it's still clean. A couple of the flanges that I've taped up on this thing got a little rusty. This is gonna go over the top. It goes in there. We're gonna really have to bend this thing. The code 61, 62 fittings are actually pretty similar to ORFS. There's a groove in here where you put an O-ring. The O-ring's a lot thicker than with ORFS. So one thing I learned doing the skid steer, which had a ton of ORFS fittings, is to keep them from popping out. So you just run some you know, Vaseline or petroleum jelly or whatever. Leave this a little bit loose for now, because we need to kind of clamp it into place up above. Okay, looking at some diagrams here. So these 2 holes, which some kind of insect has filled up with mud, there's supposed to be a clamp there, and then the hose is supposed to go through that. Well, you're not gonna be able to see this very well, but the hose is going right there into the side of the valve block. I think what I'm gonna have to do, that's not good. I think I'm just gonna put the fitting on Should make it easier. So this was like here. Got this. Now, okay, so this goes. Oh, you might not be able to see this, but a little bit tight. And actually, it's going to end up curling around under here. So we can get that. Okay, so it's supposed to go through this clamp, which bolts right here. The rubber is pretty much gone on this clamp. That's okay. We'll put some hose protection around. Oh man, this thing is tight. They ain't playing with this. I guess I can fold it underneath. Do that. Okay, this clamp setup isn't working, so I'm gonna have to order something else to replace that. Obviously, I won't be able to get the original Hitachi rubber piece, so I have an idea on how to fix that, but that'll be later in the video. So right now you can see it's pushing against the side, and this is really something I don't think you want to cheap out on, because if you wear a hole in this hose, you're in for a really bad day. So we'll try to do it right. Anyway, let's go ahead and switch over to the pilot filter, which goes there. A little bit of water in it. Someone really messed that nut up. Did you look at that? There's no pilot filter in this thing either. If you remember when I rebuilt the hydraulic tank, there was no main tank filter, and there's also no pilot filter apparently. I guess if your system's so dirty that they get clogged up, you just take the filters out. There's an O-ring. Is that an O-ring up in here? Yeah, there's a bypass in here, so really the filter being plugged isn't even an excuse for removing the filter. I wonder why they did it. This one has a new O-ring. Uh-oh. This is the wrong size, isn't it? Yep. Well, that'll work. It's just the O-ring that's wrong. Okay, well, fortunately I had ordered this before. Okay. Shouldn't really have to crank this thing because it's just an O-ring fit. Okay, and then this was, that was there. I think this just goes here. There's arrows on the top here that point that way, which I believe is correct. Okay, and I think this one just runs over to that line right there. And then that, what is that, gold and pink? I think that goes over there somewhere to the valve body. Oh, it probably goes to that solenoid block thing. So let's go ahead and make those hoses first. That's a good starting spot. So just to show you my system for keeping track of all these hoses, I already went ahead and measured all the hoses that I took off and figured out what kind of hose they were and what fittings they needed. Then I went and printed out all these labels which are going to go on the hoses. So for instance, I know this is the pilot hose. It's a -8 2-wire hose. One fitting is a S for straight and one fitting is a 90, 53 inches long. Golden pink is the zip tie color on it. And then I also have a note here about bracket. So I went and actually found the hose, and sure enough there was a bracket on it. This is like the only hose that had a bracket on it, but I'll pull that off. There's the original golden and pink color, and it's a 90 straight. So that's for one side of the pilot pump. And then this one was still attached to the filter, so I never marked this one, but you can see how rough some of these hoses are. they're done. So previously I'd been using the little foam plugs that you blow through here, but I forgot to order them. And this works pretty much just as well. Okay, well, sorry for the really dirty paper here, but we're using SAE 100 R2AT, which would be R2-8. And we're using the W series fittings for everything for the rest of the fittings. The W series are really for 4-wire hoses, but they'll work okay on the 2-wire hose here. And so we want to crimp to 24.63 millimeters. So on my crimper here, I already have 23 millimeter dies in, so we just need to dial this now. So we want to set this to 1 point, what was it? 24.6, so I'm going to go up to 0.6. And I'm actually going to set this to 24.5, because if you saw the video where I had fixed this thing after it had arrived, it was kind of all out of adjustment. I set it up so it was 0.1 millimeters on the big side. There's a ton of space in these fittings for a bigger hose. So the previous fittings I've done, they had like a line where you're supposed to set the crimper teeth to, but this doesn't have that. I'm guessing that you're supposed to put the crimper teeth right here on this edge. We'll try that and see what happens. That looks pretty good. Measure that. So 24.6. If anything, we're a little bit too small, so I'm gonna open this up 0.1 millimeter for the next one, but I think that's gonna be okay. This tolerance is, yeah, it's plus or minus 0.13 millimeters is the tolerance, so I think we're well within that. These fittings come with free thread-in caps, which is nice. So in case you missed a video where I rebuilt this pump, this right here is the pilot pump, gear-driven pump, and this is the outlet from that, which goes right to the filter input. Okay, we got kind of a sharp bend here. Well, after a lot of back and forth on where this clamp goes, I'm pretty sure it goes right there. I looked back at old pictures and videos and I couldn't find it, but this makes the most sense because one, it's not touching anything all the way over to the valve block there, and two, there was a nice hole right there for it. I've been noticing these like mud wasps or whatever you would call them. They had also plugged up my fuel lines, which I had to cut about 6 inches off of these lines to clear out whatever they had built in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook these up. I'm gonna hook the coolant lines up and just plug a couple more things on this engine. Just make sure there's nothing else in here. So we'll do. This is not the correct tool to use. There we go. It goes right here. We're gonna have to shorten this hose. And actually, before we do that, let's figure out which is input and which is return. Pretty sure that's return. Okay, so the one with the paper towel on it is the outlet. It's a note for future Matt. Okay, fuel lines run. This one's really close to this hard line, but I think it's okay. Nothing's quite touching it. It has this anti-wear, anti-rub stuff on it. It's all right. Here, are these plugged up? Nope. And these, not the right. And I don't have the correct size hose clamps for these, so These are pretty loose on here. So this here is the case drain for the drive motors. Low pressure. And I'm not quite sure how this routes. I want to say it might come up through here. We'll see. Okay. Not too sure about the routing for this, but I think this hose is about a foot too long. I looked at the old hose and it was kind of all snaked up like this, but this is fine. If you follow it down, there's hose protection there where it kind of goes by. By the way, I did put the this fitting all the way in the teeth of the crimper, and it looks a lot better, so that's how I'm going to do it. Well, I'm about to attempt the first -12 4-wire hose, so I figured I'd record it just to see if anything happens. You can see it's mostly metal in this hose here. A couple quick things. Number one, I did end up ordering plugs, and I've been using them on these hoses. I just figure, I mean, they are expensive, but I think it's worth it just to get everything cleaned out. The second thing I didn't mention about this 4SH hose, which is another reason I picked it, is you don't have to skive any material off of the hose, which is basically the process of removing the rubber down to the wire mesh underneath. So you don't have to do that for these this hose with these fittings. Okay, let's try that. I think that would have blown my arm out with a hand pump. What are we shooting for here? So we're on 4SH hose, -12, W series, 3355, 3390. So we got to dial this in a little bit. Kind of at the limits of what this thing can do. I'm glad I had that -16 hose custom made. 3360. Okay, I think we'll call that good. If I have two 90s on here, am I able to get this out of here? Oh my goodness. Am I not going to be able to? Oh wait, now it's going through. Maybe I just need time to settle. I'll tell you right now, this is going to be a fight because these hoses are stiff. I put new O-rings on here, right? I think so. This is brown and light blue. It's the second fitting that's going to be the problem, of course. Get that in there. Okay, so now for the hard part, we got to get to this guy. And there's no O-ring on there. Ow. Come on now, thank you. All right. Got a light on there for you. Of course you can't see it when my finger's in the way. -12. I'm gonna go ahead and say these are probably the two hardest lines on the whole machine because all of the cylinders and that whatnot, they have hard lines that go over. So working these in is probably gonna be the hardest part, hopefully. There we go. Oh boy. Need to get the light out of the way. Oh man. Yeah, I'm glad I waited on the pilot lines because I'm going to have to move this pilot line as is and stuff. I think actually now that I'm doing this, it would have been way smarter, and I probably still could, is to put the hose on here first and then pull it back on the other. There's way more room to work over there, but oh man. You know, I should probably put hose protection on these. Too late now. Okay. Now. Okay, it took me a long time, but I got one on. Unfortunately, the next one, well, I'm going to have to make room for the next one because the next one is going to want to go in between the line and the swing device. I think that can do that. It's really hard to move this hose, as I thought. And the trick I found that actually helps quite a bit, I just took a set of vice grips here, and you can see I tore it all up right there. That's just the rubber part, that's okay. And you just grip on, and then you can use that to manipulate the end. It works pretty well, actually. The tricky part is getting the hose on without knocking the O-ring off. Okay, I just got the second one on the right there, and I ended up having to get like a ratchet strap around it and then around the frame of the machine and tighten it back. It really doesn't take that much force to move it into place, but the problem is I need both my hands to move it into place, and then there's not a third hand to start the nut, tightening the nut. So the ratchet strap actually worked really well. That there. There we go. You tell this is going to get in the way. Oh, this is so much easier. Oh boy, we might need the ratchet strap again for this. Definitely. Ooh, I might get it right there. Just a little bit misaligned. I had a hard time getting this one on, but we got it. All right, I'm gonna try putting this side on first. Might be easier. That's my grip. Oh yeah, this is way easier doing it this way. One problem is that these 90s aren't quite long enough, and they're up against these steel lines right here. So I'll try to bend the steel lines out of the way. They're up against the hose protection. Oh my gosh, this is so much easier. Look at that. All right. Okay. Got gold and yellow on the top. Starting to get a little bit tight in here. Wrong size. Okay, so yellow is on this side, yellow is on the top, right? Is that what I said? Oh boy. And I'll be having to clean this off. Just got some acetone on here to make sure nothing's going in. No goo in the ports. This says orange and gold. Wasn't orange on the bottom? Because it seems like that might want to go there. The other one was a 45. Which makes no sense. Oh yeah, the 45 should go there. Okay, looking at an old picture, it looks like this is on the top and it comes up at an angle. Comes over the top. Oh my gosh. And it goes into there. Seems a little bit crazy, but okay. The nice thing about these is you can kind of lock it in a little bit. Like that. Okay, that's not too bad. I wonder if this is what the actual hoses were like on the machine originally, or if these have just been, hey, there's a little chipmunk over there. It was a chipmunk and not a rat, so that's fine. And then the other one came out and then it went looped around. So we're gonna put this top part in first, since we're going to be coming from the bottom. Ease this in. There we go. Just ease it in. So there's actually one more hose I'm kind of worried about, and that's this one that's a -12. It comes off of here. And I'm assuming it goes over here because this is like the last -12 fitting that I don't know where it goes. I think this is called the unload valve or something like that. Probably, it might be low pressure. And if it's low pressure, I think I might actually get a 2-wire hose to do this, because these big hoses are no fun. So those 4 hoses that go to the swivel joint, I was kind of really wondering why it was so hard to put those in and so tight. And then I took a closer look at these. These are the original hoses. And just by the stiffness, I can tell these are 4-wire hoses. And I think pretty much all 4-wire hoses have the same bend radius. But these are -10 hoses. I'll tell you that right now, just on how the size of these. Let me show you a comparison. If you look at this, I mean, these are definitely -10. And then I also noticed these long ones right here run from the swivel joint to the drive motor. Those are also -10 hoses. So I think that's what they were doing, is that whole circuit was -10 hoses with -12 fittings. Going up to 12 isn't going to hurt me at all, but it's just a lot harder to route, I guess. Now this hose right here, which I'm about to make, you can see it's this hose which goes to the top of the swing device over to the side of the valve body. I think this one is actually a -12. Well, that might be a -10 as well, but it's definitely a 2-wire hose. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not using a -10 hose, all the fittings I got were for -12 hose. So fortunately, I do have some -12 R16, which is a 2-wire, and it's supposed to have a really nice bend radius. So that's what I'll make it up out of. So here's the -12 R16 hose. You can see it's still a little bit bigger, but the bend radius on this stuff is really, really good. It's supposed to be really flexible. I used it on the skid steer. Make sure this one's actually torqued down all the way. I don't think it is. Yeah. Okay. So. Oh, that's what I'm worried about happening on all these fittings, is the O-ring coming off. Yep. Okay, let's finish out the rest of these lines. So this is pink and green. Right here. I'm not really sure where this one goes, or if this is supposed to be the 90 degree, but we'll just put it on there for now. We got orange and green. This is, I guess, pink and green. That's going to go in there. This one had a little bit of fluid in it from using it on the brake. There we go. Now this one comes off of the solenoid. It's white and green, which is this one. This one's super long. And this goes to the tank drain. So this one has a 45 on it, but it's, did I not clock that right? Okay, that's all in. There's this one which is blue and green. I don't know where that goes. I don't see any spare -4 fittings. Let me look around for a little bit. Oh, and this is a -6. All right, well, I found on my phone, this is the drain pipe, which goes back to the tank. And right here is this hose, which is blue and green. It has that 90. So that would go from there to this plug right here. So that's got to be it. Just goes over the top. Let me fish that one out. I found the old hose. It was in like one of the piles I throw stuff in where I don't know what it goes to. But it still had the zip ties on it. Yeah, I might have to redo this one a little bit longer. It's okay, I got spare fittings. Can do that for now. There we go. Yeah, that one's a little bit tight. Let's put it right there. Whew. Yep, we're gonna make that one about 2 inches longer. That's just too short. Okay, well, I think this is a good spot to end the video. You know, a lot of the really complicated stuff is kind of done now. All of this mess, I mean, really, all we have left are running hoses for the drive motors and the cylinders themselves. So that's all pretty simple stuff in comparison to this, which I think is done right. There really wasn't anything left over that was a question mark. I'm still waiting on the bracket for the pump hose here, but basically they really want this. If you look at the manual and like how it originally was, they want this thing torqued way up like that. Like I said, I need a serious mount here, which I have one coming that just hasn't come yet. So maybe the next video we'll do that. And just talking about these swivel hoses again, and I apologize. I mean, I think I got a little bit too detailed in this video talking about hoses and fittings and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I like to explain kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Anyway, these going to the drive motors. On the other side, I'm gonna try like maybe the first hose. I'll try as a -12 and see how hard it is to route up to it from the drive motor. And if it's doable, then I'll do all 4. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to switch over to -10 hoses like they had. And there might also be a fitting issue down there too. We'll find out. So besides that, in a video, really what I need to get going on is the actual cylinders. These steel lines need to be cleaned out. And then obviously I have to remake the rest of these hoses still. I still have the cylinders sitting in here. They haven't moved since I took them off and took them apart last time. The reason I haven't rebuilt these yet is the barrels all need to be taken in to get honed. There's just junk in all these that need to be cleaned out. It's like a mouse living in here. And then also, I think this is the bucket cylinder, and it needs to be re-chromed. It has a ton of dings on it. Fortunately, I did find a place in Portland that can do both. They can re-hone these and re-chrome as needed. So I think they only do cylinder stuff there. I forget the name of it, but I'll share that when I actually take them in. So these need to go in right away for the next video. I still have the stick cylinder here with the nut still on it. I haven't gotten it off yet. I'm pretty sure I can get it off though. So I'm gonna try one more time before I ship all this stuff out to get fixed. So all that's either gonna be the next video, or if that's taking a long time at the shop, the next video is gonna be figuring out this fuel tank, you know, fixing this dent, and then the inside of it is completely destroyed. So, and I did move the cab out here the other day, so I can start thinking about how I'm gonna fix this thing up. So yeah, anyway, that'll do it for this video. You know, thanks for watching if you made it this far. Thanks for following along on this project. I know it's been a while since I've done an update, but you know, just busy with spring stuff, it happens. But I am back on this thing, so look for more videos soon on it, I guess. All right, guys, now that the video's over, it's time for another edition of Oops. Oops! Now, if you're new to the channel, you're not familiar with it, Oops is just kind of like the mailbag for this channel. So in case you haven't been able to figure it out by now, I barely know what I'm doing out here. And thankfully, a lot of people closely watch what I'm doing and give me notes. And a lot of times they do find something that I've done wrong. So in this edition, there's actually multiple people that pointed this out, and it's very good advice. I don't have their names on hand, but I will throw up some comments here of people that said it. Thank you to these people for pointing it out. Okay, so the problem in reference is when I installed this engine, and on the back of the engine on the flywheel, there's 4 pegs that go around the flywheel, and those engage on the pump coupling, which is a rubber coupling. And I think the worry here is if those pegs get stuck or loaded up on that pump coupling, it's going to put a ton of force back forward, and it's going to burn out your thrust bearings. So after installing it, it's probably a really good idea to double check your crankshaft end play and make sure it's about what you measured when you built the engine. Now, I seem to recall when I built this engine, it was in the neighborhood of 8 thou in and out. So I already got it set up here. Let's check it out and make sure we're okay. So I'll read the numbers off to you. Right now we're at 0, but probably, actually no, I just messed it up. Okay, that's about 0 right there. So we're at about 9 thou right there. Maybe a little bit more. I've lost my 0. Oh boy. Okay, so we're at 9 thou. I think we're good. It's a good thing to check. So this stuff's always really appreciated. In case you can't tell, there's going to be a lot of stuff to debug on this machine once it gets running. So, you know, whatever the easy stuff, we can knock that out. It's a good thing. It'll be one less thing to worry about, because I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit difficult to get working properly. Anyway, that's going to do it for this edition of Oops, and thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next video.